Hello, my name is Callie King, and for my field trip project, I went to the Museum of Discovery in Little Rock, Arkansas. This is a really fun, interactive science museum, honestly for all ages. They have exhibits about how your body works, sound waves, different plant animal life. There's just so much to be learned there, and lots of different tools and things that we as pre-service teachers can use in our classrooms. So let's take a look on a little bit of what I found. On a field trip here with your students, you could bring them to this exhibit, and it shows you your heartbeat by beating the drum after you place your hands on the mat. And you also learn lots of information on the poster here, and it says that your heart usually ranges from 60 to 100 beats per minute. So this is just a really tangible way to see your heartbeat. This exhibit that shows your heartbeat in the drum, it would probably be more beneficial if you actually took a group of students on a field trip to this museum to take them and do it. It would be kind of hard to recreate in a classroom, but it really does show visually how your heart is beating based on your hands that you put on the mats. So students could see how their heartbeat fluctuates and is different from their peers, and it's just a great visual, and I feel like it would be very memorable for the students learning about how fast a normal heart rate is between versus if somebody is active or something like that. This next exhibit that you're going to see is about how long your intestines are if we were to uncoil them. So this could be a very, very good visual for students, not only if they went to this museum to see, but also we could recreate this in our classroom. So whenever I saw this, I immediately thought that in a classroom you could take maybe like a really long rope and then mark off different sections on the floor in the classroom of like 5 feet, 10 feet, 15 feet, and so on and so forth, and then even give representations like they did, like you'll see on the floor. So one student can start, and then they're holding the rope, and as they back up, they see how far they're going, and it really gives them a visual of how long our intestines are in our body, but if we were to unwrap them, this is how long they would be. Next exhibit, you'll see my friend attempting to put the skeletal system together with these x-ray sheets that were given at the museum. And this is a really great exhibit, but also in the classroom, students could work in pairs or in groups, and the teacher could print off different sheets that make up the skeleton, and it could be kind of like a puzzle for them. So not only would they have to assemble the entire human skeleton, but then maybe they would have to label it or tape it together and present it in front of a class. Here you can learn about the human body and the different bones, and you can actually take the x-rays and put them into place to learn about which parts of the body go where. Another one of my favorite exhibits was one where you actually got to pull your own weight. So you sat in a chair and you put your seatbelt on, and then you pulled yourself up with a pulley system. So there was a 2-lever pulley system, 3 and 4, I believe. And so I went around to each of them and tried all of them, and you were able to see how much easier it was with the 3 or 4 pulley system, whereas it was harder with the 2. This exhibit was definitely my favorite at the museum. My friend and I actually got to sit down like we were news anchors for a local news channel, and we read off the teleprompter and told about the weather and just different events that were happening. And so I feel like this is a really cool application of
these things that we're learning in science, maybe about weather or something of the sort, and applying it to an actual career. And so I feel like this also could apply to an in-classroom assignment if you put the words on a smart board and allowed the students to read them like they were on a news show while you videoed them. And then you could make maybe a newscast for the school, or you could make it into a video and present it. But it was just a really cool application. The last thing I'm going to talk about that I found that was beneficial from the museum was this giant map of Arkansas. It had all the different cities and the capital and the different landforms and rivers and lakes that you can find in Arkansas. There was also a key that measured by your foot size or just things like that, so students could walk around and measure how many miles it was from one place to the other based on their foot. And so this also could be applied to a classroom if a teacher made a map of Arkansas on the floor. It wouldn't have to be huge, especially if you had younger students, but you could teach them the geography of Arkansas and maybe even where different things happened in Arkansas in history by this map on the floor. So I also thought that was really cool and could definitely be used in a future classroom. Some other things that I found that were beneficial from the museum were this exhibit about sound waves that you'll hear about. There was lots of plants and animal life, including the huge alligator skin that you could see. And then there was also some live animals, so this was just a very diverse experience overall, and I definitely recommend going to the Museum of Discovery, or at least using some of the things that they have in your classroom.
Here you can teach your students about sound waves and the frequency and the different pitch. By turning the knob, you change the frequency and see tangibly how the sound waves differ. Look at the little fishies.
This next clip shows the educational wing of the Science Museum. It's where you can take your students if you did go on a field trip there, and somebody could come in and talk to them about the different features that the museum offers, or you could even take time to do an activity or teach your students something in these areas that they have designated for field trips. More specific question, do y'all have, like, if I were to come to your museum, like, do y'all have like any materials or tools that like a teacher could take and like use in her like classroom or like anything of that sort?
No, ma'am. We used to have learning boxes. I know that's one of the questions on the. We used to have learning boxes, but currently we don't have those since most of the time we didn't get the artifacts back.
Okay.
And it takes money to fund those things.
Right, right.
Now, there are times when we have certain exhibits that from the sponsor there have been materials and things that we've been willing to give out to teachers that come to see the exhibit when it's here.
Okay.
And we've had training sessions, but now that's not on a regular basis, an everyday basis.
Okay.
That just depends. I know when we had the bug exhibit here, there were some wonderful teacher boxes
Yeah.
that we gave out for when they came. But again, that doesn't happen on a regular basis.
Right,
It
okay.
just depends on the sponsor.